What's the story, everyone? Welcome back to GA Fan TV. I hope you're all keeping wonderfully well. I'm now available on Spotify and all podcasting apps. So all the episodes from last year, all the preview shows, all the guests that I did have on last year in 2020 are now all available on Spotify and on SoundCloud. And of course, this podcast with Bonnar Ó'Loingsigh is also now available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Anchor, all the podcasting apps. So if you want to go ahead and check me out, I'll leave a link in the description down below. And of course, you can also search GA Fan TV on Spotify and on those apps, and you will be able to find my podcast very easily. In this episode, I was very happy to speak with Bonnar Ó'Loingsigh. Bonnar Ó'Loingsigh moved from Iraq to Ireland back in 2003. And of course got involved in hurling at a very young age indeed, and very much fell in love with hurling once he first discovered the sport. And it was a very interesting conversation, talking all things hurling, talking about his love for Clare Hurling, overcoming bullying and racism. So I would highly recommend listening to this podcast for the full hour. Some very good topics included, discussing the championship last year in hurling as well, and even touching on his club Ballinteer St. John. So yeah, enjoy the podcast and let's get straight into it. Okay, welcome back to the GA Fan TV podcast. I'm joined here by Bonnar Ó'Loingsigh. Bonnar, it's great to have you on, first of all. I'm a big fan of your story. I remember seeing your video that went around there, I think a couple of years ago, where you were talking about how hurling saved you. And kind of ever since then, like your promotion of hurling and obviously within the Muslim community as well. So I'm definitely a big fan of that. So I suppose, look, listen, we'll definitely get through all that, talk about your story coming from Iraq, coming to Ireland. And, we'll even touch on a few other bits and bobs, of course, along the way as well. But I suppose, first of all, how are you keeping? Like, how's the lockdown? How's the lockdown treating you?
Sure. Taking away. Thanks. First of all, I'd like to thank you for having me today. And looking forward to discussing my story and hopefully, inspiring others to join the great game. But going back to the lockdown, as I suppose, like as everyone else, just trying to live by it, and trying to adapt to the new normality. And but yeah, kind of please God, it will be a brighter year, 2021. So, and get out of this lockdown and start training back again. So it's good.
Yeah, I suppose definitely. Yeah, hopefully we can definitely get out of the lockdown soon enough. I suppose, like, we've kind of been we've been in it for long enough anyway. So it'd be great. Like, I suppose going back to the start with yourself, like, obviously, leaving Iraq and coming to Ireland, definitely quite the change. Like, so, like, I suppose, what do you remember about coming to Ireland? Like, and what age were you when you moved from Iraq to Ireland?
So I was first of all, I was 8 years of age, or 8 or 9 years of age when I came to Ireland. I came here as a refugee with my family, to flee the war that was going on back then. Unfortunately, what has happened has happened. It was obviously, I witnessed the invasion back in 2003. I was a little kid. I was actually just about to go into first class. And obviously, coming down here to 2008 after the invasion, then the whole country got separated, and then the civil war arose, and people start killing over identity and all that, so it was what really scary times, to be honest. I suppose coming to Ireland, the whole journey was almost like a kind of a movie. Like I remember coming from, starting from Baghdad, going to the border, going to Syria, realizing myself, me and my brothers, and my mother, literally in the middle of nowhere, looking around, literally only car present, and I was like, Jesus Christ, where the hell am I? Like, do you know what I mean? Going to Syria, and then from Syria, then we went to, we transferred to Turkey, and then from Turkey, we came to Dublin. I remember the first thing that coming out, that totally different world altogether, right? Coming out the Dublin airport, the first thing that struck me is I have to say is the weather. Do you know what I mean? That's the first thing that, that struck me. I was like, Jesus, it's fair cold here, like, but now I'm absolutely, my favorite weather is cold. I got adapted very, very well to the weather, so I have no problem with that. Do you know what I mean? In fact, it's my favorite. Rainy days and all these are my favorite day, my favorite weather. But it was, coming in here, like, not knowing anyone, it was really, really difficult. I remember going into primary, when I went to primary school, not a word of English. It was very, very difficult to communicate with the teachers. Very, very difficult to communicate what I want. Like if I wanted to go to the toilet, because I didn't know. Like, for example, I was sitting in class. I was like, normally, like obviously I put my hand up and say, "Can I go?" I didn't know how to say that. Do you know what I mean? I remember asking the teacher, "Do you have any soap?" I couldn't say. The teacher didn't know, what the hell I was saying. I just kept doing this, I kind of, but now, thankfully, after, joining GAA, has really opened up a lot of avenues that I didn't really expect. Obviously, my love for the GAA, that's a different story altogether. But in terms of GAA in general, as an organisation, it is, to me, and in my view, it is the best organisation in the world, to be honest. And hopefully my story will inspire a lot of people that are coming from different parts of the world to participate within GAA. Because I really do think that GAA is a very, very good organisation in terms to join, in terms to integrate within society, in terms to understand the people within the and to understand the culture, of it within that country that you live within. And I think that's very, very important to practice that, and to understand that wherever really you go, like, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that definitely sounds like, I suppose, quite the journey from all the way to Iraq to Ireland, coming through all those countries. Like, I'd say it definitely was quite daunting. And then obviously you were saying there about the weather. Like, I definitely couldn't agree with you with that. Like, I definitely love to have some sun every now and again. I don't know about the rainy weather.
Yeah.
There's
no. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I said there's nothing better than playing a game of hurling in a nice, windy, rainy, mucky, weather. I'm sure a lot of hurlers I know would agree with that. Like, absolutely. Especially when there's a sliotar coming, a dead ball, beautiful. Everyone just coming in, fighting for it. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, no, like, absolutely.
So that's really good. Yeah.
For myself, playing football sometimes as well, like, it's definitely, you definitely know, like, when there's a rainy day, there's a bit of bad weather, like, if you can see it coming sometimes, and if you can read the game well, you've definitely got to jump on your man sometimes, but sometimes you can go the absolute other way as well. I suppose, like, for yourself, like, when did you first discover Gaelic football and hurling? Like what were your first thoughts on each of them initially, I suppose?
Well, it was a bit odd. Like, I remember sitting down at home and there was RTE on and there's some game going on. I was just seeing it and I was like, okay, what's this? Like, do you know what I mean? It was just really, as I said, really took much attention of it. I picked up Gaelic football first, and then I picked up hurling afterwards. And, then I started playing them both, especially coming to the Féile. I played Gaelic football and hurling as well. But, like, my initial thoughts obviously was that's interesting. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, there's two, them boys are going down, hitting themselves with sticks, whatever. It's grand. It's all cool. But then obviously I got into it. In primary school. Then I was like, what? I seen it, on TV. Now I got approached to try it. Why not? Like, so I done it, and I did participate in it. Very, very difficult, starting. Very, very difficult starting off, because it was very weird. Me starting off as a person from a different color, right? Because obviously the majority of them were really, there weren't any. There wasn't any people from different colors seeing. It wasn't as diverse, as as some soccer, as soccer, for example. But I still done it. Like, that didn't stop me. I don't think it should stop anyone from joining the sport, from joining an organization, just because of there isn't any there's no much color that that blends in with yourself with someone else color. But yeah, I done it, and I fell in love. I fell in love with it, then I kept at it. Then coming up to the leaving cert, I had to choose between. It was just too much for me. I had to choose either Gaelic football or hurling. But then hurling was, is the sport that appealed to me more, and I wanted to go on, and further and pursue that, pursue the game and play it. And that's how it went from there.
What was the first game you watched? Do you remember it, or? Sorry,
say that again.
What was the first game you watched?
First game, there wasn't actually. I can't remember the first game I watched, to be honest. All I remember is now. All I remember is how I fell in love with Clare Hurling, and it was just because one person, that I look up to, and I look up to his videos, and everything. He's how he plays the game, how he reads the game, and that's Colin Lynch, So that's Clare, previous Clare midfielder, absolute boss in terms of reading the game. He's a bull. When it comes, when the minute that ball throws in, throws. The minute that referee throws in the ball, he's like a bull. Fight like an animal. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I stand by now. And that's this player who inspires me. The way I got to know Colin Lynch and I researched more a lot about him is I seen a photo of Dermot O'Sullivan going, the rock fullback for Cork, running through, shouldering someone, and that guy was shouldering is a person that went for the shoulder, and it was Colin Lynch, right? So I kind of admired that, for someone, even though no matter how big the person is, no matter what size of that person, you still go in for the 50-50, or still go in for the shoulder. Do you know what I mean? Even though, and me, I got floored many times, on the ground, and vice versa, But sure, it's all about the love of the game. It's all about that love of getting fit. Like, come at me, like, do you know what I mean? You gotta go for a 50-50 ball. But as I said, that's how the kind of my love fell for Clare Hurling, and obviously because of the Colin Lynch, and then from there, obviously, then how I felt then I started obviously looking at Clare Hurling, and this when I made the How Hurling Helped Me video in 2016. That also went viral, and that was Davy Fitz scene, the Clare Hurling management scene, and I got invited there, and I could only hope that Colin Lynch was there to make the full day, obviously, but absolutely, but I enjoyed it either way, like, it was absolutely great, like.
What was Davy Fitz like? Like, what? Because obviously, what ended up happening was Davy Fitz seeing the video, wasn't it, and then basically said, I'll invite you into the dressing room. So, like, did you meet all the players? And I think that was back during, was it 2016? So it would have still had a couple of All Ireland winners in that team, of course, from 2013 as well.
Absolutely, it was actually the Allianz Hurling semi final. It was Kilkenny versus Clare, like in Thurles. I remember going down to Thurles, train, and then there was a meeting point that was about to, where I met the Clare hurlers, and they were coming off from Smilebridge. I think they told the train from Smilebridge town to Thurles, and I just remember I was like, "Geez, is that a dream?" Like, do you know what I mean? Because I just see all the Clare hurlers, and like Tony Kelly and all them boys there. David Fitz approached me saying, "How your Bonnar house sings." I just couldn't imagine. I was like, "Jesus Christ, that's that." I was like, "This is actually real." Like, obviously, then I went on the bus, and I was started, talking to different people. Talking to different players, and it was just great. I just ended up being the water boy for the day, and and it just was great. Like, so I really, really enjoyed every single bit of it, to be honest. Then obviously met Donald Cusack there. And then I actually talked to Brian Cody as well afterwards, after the game. So it was excellent, like, I loved it, like.
And I'd say it was huge motivation for yourself in many ways as well. Like, obviously having a huge interest in hurling, getting involved in the hurling community, and then obviously meeting players like Tony Kelly, like you mentioned, Davy Fitz. I'd say that was a big motivation for yourself as well, personally.
Oh, definitely it was. to be honest, it just gets to show you that if you put your head onto something, and if you do really work hard for it, you will achieve what you will get. You get out of what you put in. So it's that's really kind of a saying that I kind of look up to and go by. Nothing is going to come by, nothing's going to come by someone just sitting down expecting things going to happen for them. That's not happening, right? And and for me, doing the video How Hurling helped me, obviously I wanted to get it out there. Someone who's coming from a different country as a refugee, who's fleeing war, who's adapted in Ireland as his new home, and it really is, it really is my home right now. And to be quite honest with you, I feel more home here than actually if I went back to Iraq. Do you know what I mean? So, and just as I said, like the essence is just, if you do work hard, and if you do, put your head towards something, you will achieve it, no matter what people say. And I've got, and that's a point I also touch on, in my how hurling helped me, just bullying. And it is, you would hear, like, people will encounter bullying, throughout their lives. Unfortunately, some people do really, really get depressed, and I can understand why. But at the same time, it's up to that person to lift themselves up and do something about it, and and work on it. Okay. And that's really, that's something I go by, like. So that's really, yeah.
Yeah, no, like I think at the end of the day, yeah, it's all about, I suppose it's all about application, I suppose, when it comes to kind of going after, what you want to achieve, and without doubt, like, kind of meeting those kind of players like Davy Fitz and whatnot, definitely I'd say kind of rose your levels a bit. Like, were there any other kind of players in that Clare team, you think, or even any other Clare players maybe growing up that you had a slight interest in, or was there any players really that kind of caught your eye, especially kind of in the early days of when you would have been watching hurling?
Well, I was Tony Kelly. The Tony Kelly, I just, the main man when it comes to Colin, obviously Colin Lynch, as everyone knows, right? But Tony Kelly, that was the more modern players. I think he's fabulous. Fabulous in terms of the way the scoring of points, like, from play, tremendous. Like, I just love seeing. It's literally a pleasure watching Tony Kelly scoring points, like, from every angle. So Tony Kelly would be the person that I would look in terms of what does he do before he gets the sliotar? What does he do, and what's technique in terms of striking on the run, etc. So yeah, I suppose Tony Kelly and many great players, like Colin Lynch, for example, from Limerick as well. Skillful hurler, like, Austin Gleeson. Do you know what I mean? Stephen Bennett, all them boys, beautiful hurlers. And obviously a lot of hurlers out there. But these are players kind of I'm looking at, and that catches my attention when playing hurling. And as a forward, to be honest as well, because I'm a forward myself. This is really great, and kind of a pleasure watching them play and learning from them. Learning from the best, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what kind of where it all starts. You have to learn from the players that are on the pitch, and certainly at the moment, there's definitely a lot of very good role models out there, very good hurlers, like Tony Kelly that you mentioned, Colin Lynch as well with Limerick. Like, he's definitely doing great things. Now, obviously, you kind of touched on it there a few moments ago. You were kind of talking about the video, obviously, how hurling saved you. Like, obviously, when you did start playing and you did start training for your local club, like, what kind of challenges did you face? And I suppose, like, how tough was it in that kind of time period, kind of starting out? Because, as you said before, like, obviously, everyone's the same, everyone's equal. It doesn't matter what skin, what race, what gender you are at the end of the day. But certainly, I'm sure there probably was some perception amongst some people that probably were maybe like, who's this guy or what's this? So what was that like for yourself during that kind of time period?
Well, there was a bit of an integration problem, within playing hurling and joining within the local community and whatnot. Like, but it, there was a problem when when playing, that people will look at that person of me or anyone of a different color, that in a weird way, or it's a bit different. Like, it's very strange for them. It's very, very strange. Like, it's as if they haven't. It's as if I'm an alien, right? I'm playing on this pitch. I'm playing hurl on that pitch. But there was a weird sense in a good way. There was a weird sense in a bad way as well. But obviously, a weird sense in a good way was more than the weird sense in a bad way. Okay. So, but when it comes to the weird, like, obviously there was, racism. I have encountered racism before, and it's that's obviously it's not okay, but it's you'll deal with it, and the way to deal with it is to report it to the authorities, to report it to management, and to report it to referee, and they will deal with it in terms of reporting to the county board, and that will be dealt with it. I don't really think dealing with racism in a physical way, that's not gonna solve anything. Do you know what I mean? It really isn't. And dealing with it accordingly, it's what matters, and it's the right thing to do. There was a bit. I did encounter, and there was dealt with it, obviously. But generally speaking, I have in terms of integrating, really no problem. Obviously in the long run, after I started talking to people, and people started to get to know me, and helping out and volunteering, etc., etc. And then obviously the community and the community you're within will feel comfortable with you, and they know who you are, etc. And then there, you'll get along. You'll get along, like. But one of the problems that I think is for of people from different backgrounds joining the GAA is integration within the Irish community, right? That they find it. Do you know what? It would be difficult, if I go in, I'm the only brown I'm the only brownie, or I'm the only person who's from different color that will join in here, and everyone's going to look, who's that guy or who's this woman coming in, thinking that she's going to, we don't even know who she is, etc. But as I have said, that's not something to stop that person from going in. So they haven't even went there in the first place and tried and seen the people. Do you know what I mean? So you can't really judge on the spot. Oh, I'm not going to go in there, sure, because there's a lot of Irish people there, and I'm not going to go in and whatever. That thought shouldn't be really, the approach shouldn't be the approach like that. So really go in, pick up a hurl, and see, and after that, see whatever happens, and if something happens bad, then we'll deal with it accordingly. Do you know what I mean? Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, look, listen, I think at the end of the day, like, obviously maybe 10, 20 years ago, maybe Ireland probably wasn't as diverse as what it is now, and that's probably one of the reasons why I think especially as kids, when you're growing up, you're only used to what's around you, really, and you are a product of your own environment in many ways. So I think that's probably where in some circumstances where that stems from. But definitely kind of moving forward, I think even seeing other players who've come out and spoke about some of these kind of issues as well, that have occurred on the pitch. I think most players have said, it hasn't happened in any senior games or anything like that. It's kind of been mostly at underage levels. So I suppose, like you said, that still isn't okay, but at least I think it does show in some ways that we certainly are kind of moving in the right direction in many ways to tackle some of those, race problems and whatnot that are occurring. And I suppose, like, obviously, like with the video you made, like, was it those kind of things you were speaking about there? Like, was that kind of what drove you to making that video, or was it kind of more the kind of bullying and stuff that was kind of associated with that?
To be honest, both. Bullying and racism, and and all that. Yeah, because it is. I think it is an important, issue in today's generation. And when I say racism, I mean everyone, including our traveller community. You know, um. So it is not. It's not okay to say certain comments to certain people just because to so they can react, or they can so they can retaliate, uh whatever their agenda is, the person that the guys that have made those comments.
Mm.
But as I said, the how hurling helped me video, it was about bullying. It was about racism. Going back, the bullying point in relation to that is like I like when I was growing up, when I was secondary school, I didn't really have a group of friends. You know,
Mm.
I was like the only friend I had was my hurl and my slitter. That's the real, and the only thing that I knew was there for me was the hurling slitter. That I know that any day I can just pick up my hurling slitter and go, and it will get me away from all the problems I'm going through. It will kind of good for my mental health, etc. You know,
Mm.
um, I suppose as a Muslim, and people, like when in school, obviously there was secondary school. I'm sure you encountered, obviously encountered yourself when you were back in secondary school, where there's this idea of free gas, parties, whatever, drinks, and all that.
Mm.
And people used to come up to me saying, you deserve to have a life. Do you know what I mean? And I just look at them. I was like, look,
Mm.
like I don't drink alcohol. Do you know what I mean? I don't really drink alcohol. And people, and just people think that's something. There's something weird about that. I don't really drink alcohol. Obviously because of my religion, and it's one of my values that I don't really drink alcohol. And secondly, I just don't like it. Like, I don't really
Mm.
drink alcohol. Often people say to me, Bonnar, you don't even need alcohol in you. Do you know what I mean? When it comes in certain situations, so when
Yeah.
it comes to so always be yourself. That's all. That's all I say to people. Just always be yourself. Just because the majority are drinking alcohol, you don't have to go and drink alcohol with them. It's fine. Like, and obviously with the name Bonnar, people always start making jokes about it. People start to come up a lot. I can think of a lot of the worst things that you think that I
Mm.
have been encountered by different, by people, and by students back in the day, and asking me to do certain things and stuff like that. And just because I don't do these certain things, they start calling me names, whatever, all different names, all the different names you can think about,
Mm.
and that was obviously a form of bullying. But I kind of looked at it and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Do you know what I mean? I kept, I just used to keep my head down, and at the same time, I was actually going through a lot of problems with me, like personally, private issues.
Mm.
Then obviously, thankfully, having hurling there for me was actually very, very important. It was really, really important for me. Hurling was at that time, and comments were thrown in, and to me, thankfully, as I said, I've done that video, and to just raise awareness, and to work on it, and to promote, and to say to people that it's okay not to be okay, and it's absolutely okay to ask for help. Don't be shy who you are, etc. But there are people there that actually will get upset. Sorry, upset, and will really get to their heart, like, and really think about even committing suicide, and that's not okay. You
Mm.
know, so that's really so those people. So, like, that's one of the issues I hoped to tackle in that video. That if you know anyone that is experiencing bullying, or if you are being bullied, that's okay to go and actually talk about it, and don't really take much notice of of the people or the comments that gets thrown at you left, right, and center. You know,
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah, like sure. Like even one of my best mates is like he's from Cameroon. Like he moved over from Ireland to Ireland, I think, when he was 8 or 9 as well. And I remember, we'd be playing Gaelic football and all that, and sometimes he'd get comments thrown at him or he'd get things said to him, and definitely I think even a video like yours back then, even for him, probably would have done him the world of wonders, because he even stopped playing football, at the age of 17, 18, because he was like, here in school, like he was like, what's the point of all these comments, blah blah blah. He's just trying to kind of get away from them. And look, sometimes some of those comments might have been jokes from people, like in what they thought was a joke. They thought it was messing, they thought it was having a laugh, taking the piss, because obviously when you're in school and you're 16, 17, you take the piss quite a bit and all that. But obviously there is a line, and I think, sometimes I think for a lot of people it probably goes down to better education, probably goes down to better parenting, just kind of understanding what is the line, what you can say and what you can't say. Like it's no problem having a laugh with people and having the crack, because obviously we're Irish people, that's kind of what we do. But at the same time, there is a line and there is a boundary, and I do think it's important that hopefully going forward with better education and better parenting, because I remember even in school myself, there wasn't really much education around racism, around this, around tackling those problems. And hopefully that is something that I'd imagine is in the schools nowadays. Like surely it would have to be, I'd imagine.
um yeah, when I was back when I was doing I was in secondary school. Oh, there was education in terms of racism, and it's not okay to do to say to say certain comments to different people, etc. But sure, that's not enough, And I do get what you're saying, about the that people might say it as a joke, and I have encountered a lot of casual racism, from people, and so sometimes I kind of go with it, Sometimes, and as you said, there is a line, there is a line, but when it's casual racism, it's common, it's very very common, but as you said, there is a line, and if people do cross that line, then that's where you raise the issues. Like, listen, you actually raise your concerns then, so I do agree with you on that point. Like, that there is obviously there is a line that people should not cross when it comes to racism. But people who are not who are not kind of educated properly. I'm not saying that it's their problem. It's those people that say those comments is their problem, that they're not educated properly. It could be the education system, that is not focusing on that. It could be parenting, but obviously raising the issue and teaching them, the right way of what to say, etc. I think that's it's the better way of going forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and fair play to you for making that video as well, because it definitely, I'm sure, like there was definitely a lot of people that it did help, and hopefully kind of going forward, I'm sure it'll help even more people, and maybe this interview might help them as well. Obviously we were touching there like earlier kind of about Davy Fitzy in the video. Like, I suppose when you put it out, did you expect such a positive response from it, and did you expect that it would reach so many people? Because obviously I think last time I checked it, 50 odd thousand views, which is quite a lot for a small country like Ireland. So were you expecting that positive response, and what was it like to see all the positive messages anyway?
It was actually great. It was really really great. I was really delighted to see the positive feedback from people, and it did. People from all parts of the world sent me supportive messages about that, and people who actually seen that video got inspired by it and helped them and started telling me their situations, and asking me for my advice in terms of what to do, because bullying or whatever they were experiencing, so it was good. And it's always good to be part of a positive kind of bringing to those people, as in it's always hard to take to actually advise people in terms of what they should do in certain situations, because they actually have an impact, and so you're giving something back to those, you're giving something back to those people. So it was really, really great positive. Obviously there was the other negative that was literally a very, very small percentage of uneducated people, but the majority of it was very, very positive. In terms of, as I said, when I went with the Clare Hurling team, it was really a dream come true. Like, do you know what I mean? I actually went there and went in Thurles. It was beautiful, like seeing it, and it was like, I suppose, in terms of the feedback I got, you're almost kind of assessing of where the country is going from the feedback you got, the feedback you get. And to me, reading those feedback, and seeing where the Ireland's going, and going definitely the right way in terms of tackling national and obviously international campaigns, such as like bullying, such as racism, etc. And Ireland is one of the best countries, when it comes to tackling racism and raising concerns and tackling bullying and educating people in terms of that. So I think it's great. Like, I was really, really happy with the feedback that I have received from how hurling helped me, and it was that video was made on a budget. I
can tell.
It was, yeah, absolutely. I had 4 brothers, 3 of them. I kind of thought, I kind of done the plan of the video, and and they was like, Jesus Christ, will you? Yeah, Bob, will you? I don't want to go and video it, but yeah. It was good. It was good though. It was really, really good. I really enjoyed looking at the feedback that I have got from the video.
Yeah, I suppose it was the message mainly. I think that was the most important thing, rather than the quality or anything like that. I think in time anyway, quality comes. And I think the most important thing was getting the message out there without doubt. What kind of advice would you give to people maybe who are in that kind of similar situation? At the moment, maybe obviously we're all working from home. We're all, no one's going to school anymore. Unless you're doing your leavings here. But say for example, obviously, when life goes back to normal and whatnot, what kind of advice would you give to people then? Obviously you were saying before about, turning towards hurling, and that was kind of your escape in many ways. And I think most people do have, that kind of escape, that where, places they go to get away from their problems. I think hurling's definitely a good thing. For me, sometimes it would be football or these videos or whatnot. But a lot of people might turn to alcohol, they might turn to drugs. But what kind of advice would you give to people who are maybe going through a similar situation now?
A similar, you mean as in people from different backgrounds around GA, or is it different?
I suppose in general, kind of in the wider sense. I suppose, yeah. In GA, if people are maybe tackling those issues or those problems, what kind of advice maybe would you give to them?
So the advice I'd give to people who are getting bullied in school, and who are who thinks that there's no one there to help them, that what I'm saying, that you're not alone, right? In terms of raising the issue. A lot of people that gets bullied are afraid to raise the issue, because they're afraid that when they raise this issue, that the people who are doing the guilty act are going to go after them. That's that. Forget about that. Forget about the bullies. It is the issue here is that you're getting bullied here, and you need to raise that issue as soon as possible. If it really, really is bothering you, and if anything happens afterwards, it will be dealt with accordingly again, so you're not alone. For anyone who's getting bullied out there, that you're not alone, okay? Anyone and anyone also with guys with disabilities, and I am a big advocate for them, with guys with people who are with disabilities, and people throw comments on people with disabilities, like people who are, let's say, who are, for example, are autistic, or who are Down syndrome, that actually they make comments, and the filthy comments on those people, that just to make them feel, bad. I don't know what the hell are they getting. Those people that are making those comments, what satisfaction are they getting from, making those comments towards those people? Those people are getting bullied just because of the way they look, the way, if there's anything, any disability in them, it's that you're not alone. If that is really bothering you, you go and report it to the relevant, report it to the guards, report it to your teachers, okay? And then after, it's very, very important you report this issue, because if you don't, those people feel that they're alone, no one's going to hear them, and that there's no one out there to help them, when it's completely the opposite. Okay. So if you are getting bullied under any ground, you go and report it to the relevant authorities. Okay. And the advice I'd give to people from different backgrounds that thinks joining GAA it's selling out their own roots, that joining GAA is that they're not going to become them anymore. They're going to forget about their own culture. That's, again, go and join GAA, right? Because just because I play GAA doesn't mean I forgot where I came from. Okay, obviously I'm proud from where my roots are, etc. But obviously I'm even prouder to be Irish. So that's really not selling out. So that's one of the advice. The other advice is go pick up a hurl, get a sliotar, and start booking against the wall. That's literally, and from there, honestly, different avenues can open up to you. Just by picking up the hurl and picking up, pucking the sliotar. Okay, and don't see one of the things that when I picked up hurling was the difficult, that how the hell am I going to pick up that sliotar, or how the hell am I actually going to master the game? Like all them boys running around shouldering, puck, pulling, running on the hooking and blocking, whatever. Yeah, that obviously takes time to get to that, and all it requires is practice. 20 minutes every day, half an hour every day. Go out, puck, try, practice your roll lifting, practice your jab lifting, practice, the basic of hurling, the basic skills of hurling, and then you'll find yourself, being good at that game. Do you know what I mean? So that's really what the advice I'd give to those people. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's all about following your passions as well. Like, obviously, people are into hurling, into football, into anything really. It's just about following your passions really, and I think they're the main kind of way to I suppose. Obviously, it's important to tackle those problems and those issues, but certainly following your passions as well is a healthy distraction without doubt. I suppose, like with the Clare team today, what do you make of the Clare team today? And obviously, what did you make of them in the championship most recently? Like, obviously, they were beaten, of course, in the qualifiers. So, like, what did you make of them yourself?
I mean, obviously, they did put in their the efforts. To be honest with you, I actually, even though my love for Clare Hurling and my passion for Clare Hurling, I knew that Limerick is going to be honest, before even the championship starts, I knew that Limerick is going to be the All Ireland champions. What I'd loved to see is Waterford win it as well. Obviously, it would have been great to see Waterford win the All Ireland. But it really is kind of from the league games and the championship games. I was supposed to, they're great, like any year, like any year. But like in certain seasons, which team are going to win in All Ireland. You almost have your bet there. So to me, this year, last year was Limerick, and please God, hopefully 2021 is Clare. But I have a feeling it's going to be Waterford. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, they definitely won't be a million miles away anyway. Like we're
Yeah, oh,
because
definitely,
obviously coming into the championship, like they had a couple of injuries. I think Cathal Malone wasn't. I think he joined the
yeah.
footballers. And Tony Kelly really just was outstanding. Like really, like I think it's rude to say he carried the team on his back because there were other players who did contribute. There's 14 men on the field. Aaron Shanahan was very bright, but without doubt, like probably the hurler of the year. I know maybe Grode Hegarty maybe gets it, or maybe Colin Lynch, or even one of the Waterford lads as well. But
Mm.
like Tony Kelly's performance was something else in 2020. Like you must have been really impressive with how well he played in that 2020 championship.
It really, really was. As I said, it was a pleasure looking, like, seeing Tony Kelly play. And majority of the Clare hurlers, they tried their best. It was really, really a team effort. I suppose everyone was kind of got told just work like dogs. When you see Tony Kelly passes Tony Kelly, Tony Kelly will score a point, So that's really it, and it's crazy. It's fabulous where he can score from any angle. And even looking, videos from his actually own club, Ballinteer, and
Mm.
he's, scoring a point. It's literally no different. That man can score from any angle, which is great. But yeah, I mean, Clare hurlers the Clare hurling team obviously done their best. Obviously, same with the Kilkenny. And I suppose every hurling team here, in this country that actually did, try their best. But as you say, may God the best team win, and Limerick had obviously Limerick did win Liam this year. So last year. So we can only hope. I can only hope Clare win it this year. And but from the looks of it, I think I really want, like, at the same time I want to see Waterford win it as well,
Mm.
because I suppose the whole country would really feel, we really feel for Waterford if they did, because last, All Ireland they have won since 1959, like, do you know what I mean? So there's been really, really a lot, a long, I think it's about time Waterford lifts Liam this year, so please God, may God they do it, but obviously up the banner for me,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like with Waterford, definitely. Like, I've always kind of had a soft spot for Waterford down the years. Like, I worked down there for a while, went to the college down there for a certain period of time as well. So I've always kind of had a soft spot for Waterford, and I definitely would love to see them get over the line without doubt. Like, obviously, 2020 was a very impressive year for them, bringing through the players that they did. The likes of Desi Hutchinson back in the side, Calum Lyons as well. Like, just really, really exceptional hurlers across the board. Like, do you reckon anyone can stop Limerick in 2021? Do you think maybe Clare can do it? Maybe Kilkenny with Brian Cody, maybe they'll find a resurgence, or maybe even a Galway or Davy Fitz with Wexford. Like, what do you reckon?
It's actually very hard to say, to be honest. It is hard to say.
Yeah, it is. It is very early in the year, I know, but
it's very
yeah.
it's very hard to say. I suppose once the championship gets going and you see kind of you see what each team are doing, and obviously looking at the scoreline as well, and then you'll be able to tell. But what I'd say is Waterford. I know Waterford for a fact that they can stop Limerick from lifting Liam again this year. But again, we have to wait and see. Of how the how it's going to go, like how this championship is going to go. But Waterford, I know for a fact they can stop Limerick if they wanted to. Sure, they stopped Kilkenny, like. Do you know what I mean? So they can. If anyone can stop Kilkenny, so if Waterford can stop Kilkenny, they can stop any team from lifting the cup, like, But yeah, that's really my reply to that.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think they'll definitely be thereabouts. And the great thing about hurling is that it's so competitive. Like, I suppose that's kind of one of the disappointments that a lot of people have with Gaelic football. Maybe is that Dublin are too far ahead. But with hurling, for example, I think you look at it and you think, realistically speaking, like Limerick in 2018, they kind of came out of nowhere and won that All Ireland. Like, no one really expected it. I'd imagine for yourself as well, since you're a Clare man, like 2013, I'd say without doubt, like that was probably a special year as well. Like, seeing Clare win, their second All Ireland in about 100 odd years. So Like, what was that like, and what was the experience of watching that final?
I actually wanted to go to that final. To be honest, I couldn't go to. Tickets were sold out. But I came last. I came the last fan, and I was like, listen, mate, tickets went. It's not there, like, But it was actually it was a great moment. Like, I mean, my love for Clare wasn't as like, I haven't really done, like, my passion from Clare wasn't there yet, if you get what I mean.
Right. Yeah.
But like, throughout the years, not only did I went to 2013 final and started looking through the highlights and whatever and started looking full game, but kept literally went as back as 1990, like, and throughout, obviously seeing Colin Lynch play in certain games, and seeing the 2007 was I don't know, I actually don't know which kind of was it a semi-final or quarter-final, but it was Cork and Clare, in Cork Park. And that's actually when the picture I was telling you about, where I see Colin Lynch and The Rock shouldering each other. That game was outstanding. Honestly, that was the game that that I really enjoyed every single bit of it. Literally the toughness. And back in it was 2007. I thought people didn't, was that the helmets were optional as well. Colin Lynch didn't wear a helmet back in the day. Do you know what I mean? It was so the Rock. So it was just classic. Classic. It was the war game that was. But it was. Looking at the passion of the players, you could tell. The players, is going to win the 2013, the championship. They're just outstanding. Like, you could literally almost feel the passion, even though I'm looking at it from the back of the screen, but I felt I was there myself. Do you know what I mean? So I was, so it was a great moment for all Clare Hurling. So yeah, it was really a good moment. Like,
yeah, it was a special day. All right, like I was
special day.
I was at the semi-final between Dublin and Cork. I remember the 2013 semi-final, and I remember thinking, this could be the year maybe for Dublin to finally get over the line in hurling. Maybe win the double along with the football. But Cork obviously beat Dublin that day, played Clare in the final, and it was a mad final altogether. You had Shane O'Donnell, who kind of came out of blue. You had Davy Fitz, the replay. Yeah. Marty Morrissey screaming "Holy Moses!" Like, it was the when I look back at finals from the past 10 years, like the 2018 one stands out quite a bit because Limerick won it. It was their first in a while. I think a couple of Tipperaries as well, but that one in particular because it came at a time really when Kilkenny were generally winning it every year. Maybe Tipperary would stop them, but yeah, without doubt, like it has to go up there in one of the best finals I've probably ever seen. One of the best championship years I've ever seen as well, especially in hurling anyways.
And obviously you can't forget Anthony Nash penalty taken. That was a trend back so obviously now GA had to look at it and say we have to cut this, we can't get this going as a trend, but that was really it was I still can't get in my head how the hell did that slither go through the net of all those Clare men. That penalty. I honestly couldn't. I looked at it, I think, about 20 times, right? And trying to figure out how the hell that slither go through all these men. I couldn't figure out how, like, just a power of Anthony Nash, like, a power of Anthony Nash, I'd say.
Yeah, he just had a way. He just said, that's kind of probably why the GA looked at that rule and everything. Like, they even call it the Nash rule because because of that in many ways. Like, but like it was like he was some player as well. Like, without doubt. Like, and like a lot of the Cork lads and Clare lads, like, you had just immense players on both sides. Like, I do feel a bit bad for Cork in some ways because they were so close to getting over the line, and I think that I have a funny feeling if they had got over the line then with some of the young players that they had in their team, we could have been maybe looking at a similar trajectory to what Limerick are on now, because Limerick in 2018 probably actually weren't at their best. Like, you know, they didn't even make the Munster final, went through the qualifiers, and probably arguably could have been beaten once or twice, but you know, in the end, just had the tenacity in the final stages really kind of to get over the line. But in 2013, that could have been similar with Cork. But in the end, it was Clare who got the job done. I suppose moving on from that, like obviously, you know, you're a Clare man, but obviously you live in Dublin. So I suppose like you're a Ballinteer St. John's man anyway, if I've done my research right. So I suppose like what's it been like playing for them and kind of getting involved with that club, and what's your experience like been with them, I suppose?
Oh, it's been great. It really is. You know, I mean, they're almost my second, you know, my family now. You know, my second family there. You know, the Ballinteer St. John's. But it's really been, you know, experience there has been, you know, great. You know, it really, you know, it actually, you know, it's playing with the club, also volunteering with the club. You know, it's just been tremendous. Like, I mean, I'm training with all the hurling teams. You know, all training with the senior hurling, with the junior hurling. So it's great. Like, it really is. Nice people, absolutely. You know, nice people. You know, so really, yeah, I mean, it's been, you know, good. It really is. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. Because there's a lot of obviously there's been a lot of memories from obviously playing. You know, when someone plays a game, they don't forget their best moment they've had in that game. Do you know? So I always remember, you know, I remember my failure. Do you know? I remember, you know, the thing, you know, where I actually scored a goal which got our team through the semi final of the failure. You know, and ended up playing Finbarrs then. The goal was actually against Finbarrs. Shout out to all the Finbarrs lads, by the way. But yeah, it was great. And you know, traveling with them, just as I said, I cannot ask for a better club, you know, than Ballinteer St. John's. It really is a great club, like. So yeah, very welcoming. I remember actually starting off the first training session, you know, of hurling. You know, it was just start of the under 14. You know, very welcoming. You know, very good. You know, management. Ken Sheehan and Michael Rafter working very well. They gave me a hurl, they taught me the basics, got blended in with some of the, you know, start playing with some of the players. I knew some of the players from primary school as well, so it was handier that way in terms of, you know, knowing people and you know and stuff like that. But in terms of that, you know, it was really good, like.
Yeah, without doubt, like that's definitely great to hear. Like I'm based over here in the north side of Dublin, so I wouldn't really venture out by there too much. Like, and from playing for Whitehall, like Comkill, like they would have been my club growing up. Never really never really came up across Ballinteer. But like I would have been playing the football anyway, not the hurling.
Well, we'll get a friendly match going.
Yeah,
after this COVID, we'll get a friendly hurling match going.
We'll definitely have to get something going, all right. Although my hurling skills now aren't great, to be honest. I mean, you might have to teach me a bit, coach me a bit to get me back up.
No,
definitely. And like what do you think is the plans for the future for yourself? Like obviously, like from looking through your Instagram, obviously you're kind of showing different coaching tips and different things from hurling, as well as kind of promoting, you know, different things here and there. Like, so like where do you see it for yourself? Do you see yourself even going into a coaching role maybe down the line, or what do you think for yourself?
Maybe, hopefully that's, please God, you know, there is really no major plans, you know, future. But I mean, being one of the things I'm looking at as being being a coach, and a coaching role would be would be something I'd be looking at, so definitely I'll be looking at doing a bit of coaching, and yeah, in terms of that, obviously one of my dreams is to play for for Dublin County Hurling team, the Dublin seniors. But that's, I suppose, that's anyone's, really any hurler's dream, and but obviously we'll keep the head down, and we'll keep practicing, and we'll keep hurling away. But I suppose in terms of the plan, coaching would be really something I'd be looking at, in terms of pursuing, and helping and assisting people achieve their goals and achieve their targets when it comes to playing the great game, hurling. So yeah, that's one of the obviously, please God, now COVID dependent on that, but coaching would be one thing I'll be looking at.
Yeah, I suppose it's always hard to know as well, like what like sometimes when people ask me what's the plan for the future, it's very hard to say, like when we're in a lockdown and you don't really know like what's going to be happening in the next like couple of months or whatever. But yeah, without doubt, like who knows, maybe playing for Dublin one day could be a possibility. I mean, like, although I'm hugely against splitting Dublin in two, I think maybe the only positive that could come out of it is that it would give more opportunity to more players in the county of Dublin, because there's so many county players in Dublin that will never get to play, senior Gaelic football or senior hurling, and they might be, they could play for a Sligo or a Leitrim and be the best player on the pitch.
Absolutely.
So it's that would maybe be the only positive outcome to it, but certainly be by all means, and I definitely wouldn't be in favour of it, but I suppose that would be the only positive. But yeah, look, listen, Bonnar, it's been great to have you on. Appreciate you sharing your story, and yeah, I suppose, look, listen, best of luck with Ballinteer in the future, and I'll definitely keep an eye on the club championship in 2021 to see if you do anything special or you get up to anything there.
Please God, no, please God. And again, thank you very much, Aaron. Thanks very much for having me on this for GAA Fan TV. Been a pleasure. And hopefully we get we'll be in touch, we'll be hopefully for the future. Whitehall versus Ballinteer. Hopefully I could see it happening. In March. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll have to arrange it at some point. Definitely.
Absolutely. We'll be home. We'll be home in Ballinteer though. We'll be home in Marley Park.
Yeah, okay, I mean that's a bit to travel, with people with dubs on the north side. Like we don't go to the south side very often,
Right. No, we don't bite. Don't we?
Yeah. Well, I think with most people, they normally think it's the other way around. I think most people are afraid of coming to the north side. They think it's a but it's not too bad. Like it's like anywhere. It's like anywhere in Dublin. There's good areas, there's bad areas, but
yeah.
Thank you very much for watching and listening to this podcast. I'll leave a link down below to Bonnar Ó'Loingsigh's YouTube channel, and of course his social media as well if you want to go ahead and check him out. Do subscribe to my channel as well. Follow me on social media at GAA Fan TV on Instagram, the GAA Fan TV on Twitter, and GAA Fan TV on Facebook. The link to all those will be in the description down below. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll speak to you soon.